He's got a bigger belly. Can we see the baby belly? We got a little bump.
There it is.
Oh, he got a bump! I haven't been able to do it with my pants since August. Hey guys, it's Zoe, and I'm here with my husband Curtis today.
Hi everyone.
We're gonna be filming a bit of a different video. It's not book related at all. It's a part announcement, part discussion video that I've wanted to do for a while. And it's something hard to talk about, but something that I need to talk about. So as you can tell from the title of this video, I am pregnant. I'm 15 weeks today. I wanted to announce it in this way. Like, I've wanted to make this video since the end of January, beginning of February, but I was never in the right mental headspace, and then things came up, and then I was in a much better headspace, and I didn't want to think about this again. But here we are. We're doing it. We're sitting down. We're doing it. I wanted to talk about our pregnancy journey, the ups, the downs, the goods, the bads, and all of the in-betweens. If you have gone through a miscarriage recently, if you've gone through one ever, and you cannot listen to somebody talk about miscarrying, and this does get pretty detailed because I don't want to sugarcoat anything, please do not watch this video. Add it to your watch later list if you think you will be in a better headspace later. You don't have to justify, you don't have to give me a thumbs up, you don't have to leave a comment. Please just exit out of this video. It's going to be very difficult to listen to. And I know right after I miscarried, I couldn't. I knew that I couldn't. Please protect your mental health. If you need to talk about it, you can message me. Just don't sit through this video if you know it's gonna harm you. And if you're halfway through and you're like, shit, I can't do this, please leave. Please exit out of this video. Go do something that will make you feel better, get into a better headspace, and take care of yourself. So yeah, we're just gonna start right from the very beginning when we decided that we wanted to start trying for a kid, which was February of 2018.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. We went to my family doctor. We told her I had just had a pap test at the beginning of the month and everything came back normal. And she was like, cool, nothing's really preventing you from trying, so go for it. Have fun. And then end of February, beginning of March, anytime we would have sex, I would have a pain in my vagina somewhere. I didn't know what it was. It started out, it was only in certain positions, and then it progressed into almost every single one. I told my doctor about it, and she advised that we stop trying until we figure out what the hell this problem was, because it could have been something more serious. So that was about March, I believe.
Yeah, March. And
lovely Canadian healthcare, we had to wait until September for a gynecologist appointment. So all summer, we just were like, okay, well, break out the condoms again. And then September 17th, I think it was, something like that. We went to Booknet Fest in Florida. We came back and we had the gynecologist appointment, and she said everything was fine. She did exams. She said there was no scarring in my uterus. She couldn't see any scarring at all in anything. She thought it was something bladder related, but she gave us the go ahead to start trying again. So we started trying in October. The pain wasn't bad enough that we needed to get it checked out right away, and December 13th, I think, would have been when my last period had started. I got pregnant in December, and we found out New Year's Day that I was pregnant for the first time, and I'm gonna start crying now. It's happening.
Yeah, it was, you woke me up, you came in,
I was screaming and crying.
Like, I was freaking out because I think we had, well, you didn't, I don't think you were drinking, because as soon as we started trying, you decided you were going to stop drinking completely. Yeah. But we had friends over the night before, and
New Year's Eve party.
Right, we had a party and drank quite a bit, so
you were quite hungover that morning. Yeah.
I was in a pretty deep sleep, we'll just say, and she came in and started screaming and freaked me out at first.
Yeah.
Because I think we had pretty much given up that month. We didn't think that you were going to get pregnant.
No, and I was
pretty much wrote it off.
Yeah. So I was waiting for my period to start, because before this, I've always had really irregular periods. The only thing that regulated them was birth control. I went off birth control in February, so they had progressed back into being super irregular. So I was like, whatever, 40 days, it's normal. But I remember saying we wanted to try and just take a test at some point that week in the new year. Yeah. And then I woke up at the ass crack of dawn for God knows what reason, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna take a test. Why not? I had some of these strip ones that my sister-in-law had given me, so I was like, I'm gonna do it. I took a test and I saw a very faint pink line, and I freaked out. So I took another one of these tests, and again, a very faint pink line. My best friend was sleeping on her couch with her boyfriend, who's his best friend, so I snuck through the house, tried not to wake anyone up. I don't know how we didn't wake you guys up at all. Told her, I think I'm pregnant. I need you to come to Shoppers with me, our drugstore. We went to Shoppers. I got a couple different pregnancy tests. We came back home, took the test. It was positive on every single one. I think I ended up taking 4 at home. Started crying. She started crying. Everybody was crying. I had this whole elaborate plan for how I was gonna tell Kurt. I had this mug that said totally the best dad ever. And I got like a sticker for his back windshield for his car that said little monkey on board, because he calls me his little monkey because I'm a little shithead most of the time. And I was gonna tell him that there was something wrong with my car or his car or something, and I was gonna stick the sticker onto the back windshield, and when he came in I was gonna be holding the mug and I was gonna be vlogging the whole thing, so I got to see him pass out or cry or something, and it was gonna be hilarious. We could share it with the whole world, but I freaked out and I panicked and I screamed and I jumped on him. He thought something was really wrong because I was crying so much and I was screaming, but he can't tell the difference between my happy tears and my sad tears when I'm that emotional. And we started telling the entire family that day. It would have been about 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks along. Yeah. We weren't really sure. Went the next day to the clinic, got it confirmed, got blood tests done. Those were all confirmed. And it was the best 3 weeks of our lives up until now. What I didn't tell anyone, and I didn't tell him until much later, was that I had a really bad feeling the whole time. I was nervous past the point of just, holy shit, I'm gonna push a watermelon out in 9 months, freaking out normally. I had a bone deep gut feeling like something was wrong. And I didn't want to talk about it because I was like, I don't want to put that out in the world. I don't want to mention it to anyone, and I just dealt with it. Turns out my best friend had the same feeling, and she didn't tell me until she found out I was pregnant this time, and we got everything. She said, I feel horrible for telling you this, but I had a really bad feeling, and I almost kind of knew it was going to happen, and I was like, holy shit, me too. And so I was like, do you have a good feeling this time? And she does. I do, but we'll talk about that more later. It was a big time for us. We had put our house on the market, and we were supposed to be looking at offers on Tuesday, January 22nd. I was supposed to open the store that day. I work at Starbucks, so I was supposed to be at work for 5:15, and the night before, I was at my grandma's house at about 8 o'clock, and I started having cramps. Actually, no, back up. I'm getting ahead. I had the ultrasound the week before. It was the Wednesday before, and they couldn't really see anything. And the ultrasound tech said, you know what, you're probably just not as far along as we thought, because your periods are so irregular. This is normal. I'm just going to do a transvaginal. And if you've never had a transvaginal ultrasound, they take a wand about this long. They have a covering, they lube it up, and they say, put it in yourself. And it's very awkward. And then they wiggle it around and check inside your vagina, and checking that way gets a clearer picture if you can see the sac or whatever it's called. I don't know all the terms. Better than if it's just the abdominal ultrasound. So I was like, okay, cool, I've had these done before, no big deal. Up until this point, I hadn't had any spotting, I hadn't had anything, just a bad feeling. But after this ultrasound, which they could not find anything, and she was like, I'm not really worried, it could just be you're not far enough along yet. After this ultrasound, where she was not gentle, might I say, she was wiggling that thing around like, I don't even know, I started spotting. And it was a light pink spotting. It was never red, but it wasn't brown. It was just light pink. I spotted for a week, and then Monday, January 21st, I was having dinner at my grandma's house. I was reading The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. Great book, by the way. I went upstairs to go sit with my mom, and I was cramping quite a bit. But from everything I had read, some cramping was normal because your uterus is expanding. You're growing something and it's expanding. And I always had really bad period cramps. So I was like, okay, whatever, we're fine. But they didn't stop. So I went to go home. He was working afternoon, so I just don't want to be alone. I went home closer to when he would be done work, and I didn't stop cramping all night. At around 2, I woke up cramping horribly, and I was like, I'm just gonna go sit on the couch. I'm gonna sit up, I'm gonna curl up with a heating pad, I'm gonna read. I have to go to work in 3 hours. I'm just gonna push through. At about 4:30, I went to go get ready, and I was bleeding a lot. I haven't talked about this out loud since then. I was bleeding a lot, but it wasn't as bad as one of my periods, and I'd always heard that miscarriages were worse than any period you've ever had, and it wasn't. So I was like, okay, maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just normal pregnancy bleeding. I don't know, it's my first child. And then I looked down when I went to go wipe, and I saw a tiny gray clump of something, and then I knew it was our little Sprout. That's what we were calling the baby, and I lost him. I went and I woke him up. I was crying and shaking, and thank you. I've never felt so horrible. I never want to feel so horrible again. I don't wish that feeling on anyone. So I called into work and I said, I think I'm having a miscarriage. I don't know what to do. I can't come in. So I called my mother-in-law, Kurt's mom, because I knew that she had had a miscarriage before and she would know what to do. So I called her first and she said, just go to the ER. That's the only thing you can do. And then I called my mom and she knew something was wrong right away because I couldn't say words. I was just crying. So both of them came with us. We both went. They confirmed that there was nothing there. I did some blood work. My hormone levels had gone down, so it was a miscarriage. And we were there from 6:30 in the morning up until...
It might have even been earlier.
Yeah.
Well, we probably got there around 6:30, but it was a little bit earlier when everything happened.
Yes. So it was about 11:30. We went out for dinner, or we went out for lunch. Mm-hmm. And when we got out of there within 5 hours, which is amazing for Canadian healthcare. Mm-hmm, there was no one in the emergency room at the time because it was so early.
No.
And then we had to go and look at offers on our house because we were contractually obligated to be there. So we had to just deal with it and go meet our real estate agent and try and sell our house. Turns out we got a stupid crazy offer on our house that day.
Yeah. Well, we had a lot of good offers on our house, which we kind of expected, but there was a couple that really surprised us, so
yeah,
it ended up making our day better in a way. Obviously it still didn't help a lot with the miscarriage, but
it was a silver lining in the worst day of our lives. We ended up selling our house that day, and that week, I think I was supposed to work on a Thursday. I tried going to work. I was there for maybe an hour. The first 5 minutes that I got there, I tried to tell my supervisor that I wouldn't probably be okay, and I started crying. The first sentence that I got out, I started crying. So I sat in the back for an hour and I cried until somebody else could come in, and I went home. I took the next week off. We ended up finding this house that we live in now on Friday. It was the first house we looked at. Yeah. We're like, shit, let's put an offer, let's just see. And we got the house. So that was a fucking roller coaster of a week, to say the least.
Sure was.
Horrible. And I kept having to go back for blood work every couple days to make sure that my hormone levels were dropping and they wouldn't have to perform a DNC. I'm really happy that we didn't have to do that. So that was January. My family doctor had recommended that we wait at least one period cycle until we started trying again, just to make sure that my body had flushed everything out and I wouldn't be putting myself or a new baby at risk with a miscarriage not being fully finished. We started trying again mid-March because we were both in a good mental headspace. We were both ready to start trying again. I was still crying most days, but it was better. It wasn't easy, but it was easier to deal with every day. Nothing really happened in between then, not that I can think of. We're still having the pain the whole time when we're having sex, so it was not fun trying.
We thought that it might possibly be endometriosis or something along those lines, but
we had no idea. We did our best, and everyone's like, oh, have fun trying. And it's like, well, you can't when it hurts so much. And when I'm in so much pain, he's uncomfortable. Anyone who has ever had sex with someone else, and they're not, a garbage person, if the other person is in pain, it's not enjoyable for either party. So it was just something that we did to try for a baby, because a baby was more important than me not being uncomfortable for like 10 minutes. So...
Oh, by the way, I keep looking over there. It's because Drake was on the ground. I'm not like...
He's being cute. Cute face. In May, we got Draco, our lovely cat. The sweetest boy in the whole world. He's taking a nap right now.
He's perfect.
Oh, God.
Emphasize on the purr.
Jesus Christ, here we go.
Okay, go ahead.
He helped a lot with my mental state. I know he helped a lot with you.
Yeah. He really has done a lot for both of us.
Yeah.
Like, we both have our own struggles, and having a pet is very helpful.
Yeah. So we had him for a couple weeks, and he hadn't really shown any preference over either of us. And then one day he started putting his paws on my belly and sniffing my boobs. And I was like, what in the hell is this cat doing? I've never had a cat. He's never had a cat. So I started Googling, why is my cat sniffing my boobs? Every result that came up was, you're probably pregnant. And I was like, what the fuck? Okay, sure. We had both decided that we were gonna wait a little bit to take a test because we didn't want to go through the pain that we had gone through before. And we had been taking tests every month because my periods had regulated themselves post miscarriage, which I didn't know was a thing that could happen. I'm surprised it's a thing that can happen.
Yeah.
I guess it's just your hormones changing so much that your periods are like, let's be regular.
We also didn't want to get our hopes up.
Exactly.
Like, the first time around, we probably went through a couple dozen tests.
We decided that we were going to wait, and we were going to New York for BookCon, and we said we would take a test when we came back. But Curtis and I both have impulse control issues, especially when we're really excited about something.
Mm-hmm.
So while we were in New York, we ended up taking 2 tests. 2 or 3?
I don't know if, did you bring a test, or I might have went to the store and got a really cheap one.
He went to 2 different pharmacies and got 2 different brands of tests, and both of them came back positive. And they were very faint lines. We hadn't told anyone outside of our close friends and family in January when I was pregnant, and this time I was in New York. I was surrounded by so many friends that I was meeting for the first time. It was such a surreal experience because we were both in New York for the first time. Mm-hmm. Everything was going so well, and I can't hide things from people when I'm really excited.
No.
I have to tell everybody. Like, if it's somebody else's secret, I am on lock. You will never get that out of me. If it's my own secret, I am an open fucking book. I told everybody, literally everybody. We put it on social media right away because I know for me, and I think it was the same for you, going through a miscarriage without anybody really knowing that you were pregnant and having to tell them what you were going through was so difficult. And that time around, I was like, I want people to know. I want people to be there to share the good if this does go badly. So we told everybody. And it was shared on my Twitter so many times. I got, I think, 500 retweets within a day, 1,000 likes, everybody was commenting. It was insane. I had never had a post blow up like this. Put it on my Instagram, same thing. Only to find out when we got home, 3 or 4 days later, I went to the clinic, went to go get it confirmed, her test was negative. And she's like, you know, it could just not be as strong as some of these other tests. Let's do some blood work. And the blood work came back negative. So I was not pregnant, but I had gotten multiple positive results from multiple different brands from multiple different stores.
Right.
And I freaked out again. I lost my shit. I broke down. At that point, you just start questioning everything. My period started the next day. When the nurse called to tell me that it came back negative, her best guess was that it was a very early onset miscarriage. So I probably miscarried right after the egg was fertilized. Yep. Within the first week, I miscarried. So I had enough of the hormone to test positive on those tests, and it was the day that my period would have started because it had been so regular, but I miscarried so early on. So most doctors say that at least a quarter of all pregnancies end in miscarriage, but dealing with a false positive like that, I am 100% sure. You can't tell me any differently. At least half of all pregnancies end in miscarriage because I started my period 3 days after I was supposed to, and I would not have known that I was pregnant at all if I hadn't taken that test when I did.
Yeah. If we never had those tests in New York, we would have never even known, and you were pregnant.
I don't know how many people out there have gone through the same thing, and for a variety of different reasons. So I think their stats are a little bit off, just as somebody who has gone through it. So the doctor said at that point, you don't need to wait, just consider it a normal period. This could have happened multiple times to you, and you never knew. So that was in the very beginning of June that we had the false positive. And we're like, let's just get right back into this. Positive attitude. Yeah. Let's not let this prevent us from trying. The last time I had a period, here come the happy tears, was July 8th. And it is October 22nd now. Mm-hmm. So I got pregnant in July. I had gone to a psychic. There was a party at my mom's friend's house. It was her aunt or her sister or something. She had talked about the baby that I lost. And my mom had gone before me and she's like, your daughter is going through some trauma, isn't she? She's like, well, shit. And this woman had gone through a miscarriage as well, so we kind of bonded over that, and we talked outside of the whole psychic reading about that. And she had said that she thought the one that we lost, Sprout, was a boy, and I always had that feeling too, and I was like, seems legit. Mm-hmm. You thought so too, right?
Yeah.
And then she said, I think it's gonna happen for you soon. It's going to happen soon. Turns out I was already pregnant at that point. It was surreal finding out that I was pregnant again. I was terrified. I had never been so terrified in my entire life because it was a couple weeks until I was at 8 weeks, which is when I would have miscarried last time. We never got a due date for the last baby because we never saw anything on the ultrasound. We never got the dating ultrasound done, but based on pregnancy math, it would have been end of August, beginning of September. And we found out at the end of August. And I remember telling Kurt in July that September would be extremely, extremely hard for me if I didn't get pregnant again before then. And the few months after. Because if I hadn't gotten pregnant before then, there is a chance that I could have both babies. The one that we lost and whatever pregnancy I had after. So now knowing that I got pregnant in July, There is no way that if we had Sprout, we would have this baby. Which doesn't make it easier, but it makes it easier. And there is no way to explain that to someone who hasn't gone through it themselves.
Right.
You're so torn between these feelings, and you feel guilty for feeling these feelings, but you can't help it because you're so ecstatic that you are pregnant again. And then we were in Florida for BookNet Fest again, around the time that I miscarried last time. So I was freaking out quite a bit in Florida. But this time around, I had stronger symptoms. I had more consistent symptoms. One of the things they don't really tell you about miscarriage, and I forgot to mention it before, is that if you have a sudden stoppage of all symptoms, you're feeling something one day and then you have nothing for the next few days, you're probably miscarrying. And I'm sorry if this is a harsh realization for some of you. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but that could be what's going on. And I was terrified that I wasn't going to feel any symptoms. I'm still terrified every day, and I'm in my second trimester when most of these symptoms slowly start to fade out, but I'm still terrified. So we got our ultrasound at 11 weeks. The baby was moving, the heartbeat was strong. They gave us a due date of April 14th. Yesterday was my birthday. I turned 26. Yesterday, on my 26th birthday, we heard the heartbeat for the first time, and this was the video that we took.
Something louder there now.
That's the baby's heartbeat.
It's baby.
I'm gonna start crying again. I have never been so happy in my entire life, yet again, so terrified. Because at this point, I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. That feeling of how can something be going so right? I'm waiting for something horrible to happen, which is a very fucked up mindset, but not something that I can control. I'm working every day, like every minute really, to keep a happy medium, not get too excited, but not be terrified too much. That's where we're at right now. It's been a journey. This year has been the best year of our lives and the absolute worst year of our lives at the same time. If you have gone through a miscarriage, if you're going through one right now, if you went through one 20 years ago, but you felt alone, please, 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 please do not hesitate to reach out to me. My Twitter, Instagram, Goodreads, DMs, anything. Send me a message if you need someone to talk to, because talking about it was the only thing that helped. Talking about it with each other, talking about it with my friends, talking about it with other people who have gone through miscarriages, those are the only things that helped. I never saw a therapist. It probably would have helped, but just talking about it was the only thing that worked.
Yeah, I don't think there's a day that goes by that we don't have a conversation about it.
No, in some way, like we're always talking about
So-
it. He got this tattoo. It says Sprout. That's gonna be his hand for tattoos for all the babies. I'm waiting until we have more kids to get a tattoo for any pregnancies that we lose, any pregnancies that go full term. That being said, if you have never gone through one, or if you have gone through one and just still mean well but don't really know what to say to people, always ask how the other person is doing, how the partner is doing. Not nearly enough people ever asked how Kurt was doing. And only really people close to us, or people who have gone through one, asked how Kurt was doing. Yes, my body was the one who went through it. Yes, I'm feeling things in a very different way. But we had been trying for this baby for a while. We had been talking about wanting kids since we started dating in 2016. We knew. From the very beginning, we knew that we wanted kids. We knew that we wanted 5 kids because we're psycho. It was a planned pregnancy. We had already started talking about what we wanted to do for the nursery, what we were planning for when this baby was born, when the baby got older. We were very attached. Those 3 weeks, when we knew that we were going to be parents, were amazing. For both of us. He's been ready to be a dad since he was born. He's always wanted to be a dad. He's been making dad jokes since day one. Being a dad is his thing. It's always what he's wanted. And not enough people made sure that he was doing okay.
Yeah, and like I don't always show a lot of emotion, so if you're like, let's say you're one of my friends, if you didn't know me personally, I might not come off as being sad, but it is very hard. Like she said, although I didn't go through it firsthand,
You were still there.
I was still there. She still woke me up. Like it's the worst thing that's ever happened to me by far, and it's, you know, both people definitely need support because it's horrible.
You're still going through it.
Yeah.
So please, if you know someone that's gone through one, reach out to them, to their partner, their spouse, whoever it is. Be there for them. Don't tell them, for the love of God, do not tell that person that they are young and that you know they're gonna have this baby, because you don't know that. And also, they still lost a child. So many people said that to me. A pregnant woman said that to me, and I almost reached over and throttled her. I know you mean well. Please do not do that. You are making somebody who already feels possibly the worst they'll ever feel even worse. And again, I know you mean well, but the best thing to do is to just be there for someone. You don't really have to say much. Just let them know that you're there for them. Let them know that what they're feeling is valid. Let them know that they're not wrong for feeling what they're feeling, especially if they're feeling guilty because they already have other children and they still lost a pregnancy. Don't ever, 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 ever mention that they already have children. So, you know, embrace that. Why are they feeling so horrible? I heard somebody say that to someone else. We don't have other kids, so no, thank God nobody ever said that to us because I would have gone to jail. Just think very carefully about what you say to people who are going through something like this. It is a very long grieving process that most people never come out of. I have talked to women in their 60s who can still tell me the exact date that they miscarried. And they have kids and grandkids and everything. It's not something you will ever forget. It's not something you'd ever say to somebody who had a baby who was born and then died after they were born. So why would you say that to somebody who lost an unborn child? Especially a planned pregnancy where you have been making plans for this baby for so long. Especially if it's an in vitro pregnancy where you went through procedure after procedure. Thankfully, we didn't have to go through that. If it was a surprise pregnancy, you don't know what is going through someone's head. Please do not make them feel worse.
And also, I don't know if you touched on this yet, but never ask someone like, oh, when are the babies coming? Or why don't you have kids yet? Or something like that, because...
You planning on starting a family? Well, Karen, actually, you don't know what people have gone through. You don't know if people are having infertility issues.
Also, some people don't want to have kids, and that's okay.
Exactly.
Not everyone has to have kids.
No, we'll have the kids for you. If you don't want kids, just... send the baby making vibes our way.
All the stress that you already have, it just basically makes it worse, so.
Yes. And never, ever, 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 ever ask anyone with a uterus if they're pregnant, because sometimes you don't know if they are just a bit overweight, if they had a miscarriage and they're still holding the baby weight. Never, just never ask it. You are gonna feel so much happier if you don't ask this, because it's happened to multiple people where they've said, oh, when's the baby due? And it's, well, I just got a bit of a beer belly. So thanks for making me feel like shit. Okay, I think, do we have anything else to say?
I don't think so.
I don't know. Oh, let's do it. I don't know if you can see it from here. No, not really. He's got a bigger belly. Can we see the baby belly? We got a little bump.
There it is.
Oh, he got a bump! I haven't been able to do it with my pants since August. I'm feeling all the symptoms. Everything is great. Not really any cravings yet.
Taco Bell.
I'm always craving Taco Bell. Let's be honest with ourselves. We're both in a very good mental health state right now. We just picked a date for the baby shower. We are going to be having a gender reveal party on November 30th. Baby shower is going to be February 23rd. Due date again is April 14th. And we just heard the heartbeat. That sweet little baby sound. We showed Draco the video and we let him listen to it, and his eyes got so wide. And he knew that was his sibling. Oh, look at this sweet little bean. Look at that little baby bub. Oh, hi, sweet boy. Oh my God, Mommy loves you so much. I don't think there's anything else. If there is, I'll put it in the description, or I'll just, pop something in after while I'm editing. But yeah, I think that's it. And I have talked about this a lot. I will link my Twitter thread down below after it happened, where I talked much more in depth about it. I will link the Facebook, or not the Facebook, the Instagram and the Twitter announcements so you can see all of our lovely cheesy photos, because they're fantastic. His younger sister took them and they're amazing. Let me know down below in the comments. I don't even know what this time, because I don't even know. If you want to leave a comment. Or if you just don't have a lot of time or you don't feel like leaving a comment, drop some hearts down below, preferably purple ones because that's my favorite color. His is blue, but we don't care about that. No, I'm kidding, you can leave blue hearts too. As always, to stay updated with my current reads and how I'm feeling about them, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads, all at Your Book Nerd Zoe, which I will leave linked down below in the description box. You can also follow him on Instagram at South Detroit Collector. He posts pictures about antique advertising. It's a big hobby of his, and a hobby that I didn't know was an actual thing unless you were a 90-year-old man until we started dating. But it's a very big hobby. Yeah, I pretty much post pictures of my collection, stuff that I buy, some things I resell, but if you want to follow it, she'll post the link, I guess. And it's a lot of Canadian history, early Canadian history. And American too. Yeah, but we care about the Canadian side more. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for sitting through me crying like a little bitch, but it is what it is. I knew it was gonna happen. I do feel better after talking about it though. And just putting it out there. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I hope you all have a wonderful day and get at least a little bit of uninterrupted reading time. And if you have babies, fur babies, human babies, doesn't matter what kind of baby, give them a kiss for us. Just hold your loved ones close, and please don't be a dick to people going through some rough times. Thanks for watching. Bye.